Thank you, Michael. The title of my presentation is Looking and Leaping, and I think that's an important way to look at what we're doing now, because we're spending a lot of time looking at social media. I think probably everyone in this room who's involved with IT or e-business or marketing or PR has spent a lot of time looking at this, but a lot of organizations haven't actually then made the move to start doing this. And I think that's the big challenge, is to collectively say, okay, we are going to do this, but how do you start? It's a little overwhelming. I mean, and I wouldn't say that DTDigital is an organization that always gets it right either. I mean, there's a lot of teething that goes on. Just understanding, do you want to do a Facebook group, or do you want to do a Facebook app, or do you want to do a Facebook page? There's so many opportunities in social media. There are so many different aspects of social media. The choice is overwhelming, and you get a little bit of that paralysis of so many possibilities that you end up kind of not knowing what to do. So I think what's going on is that you've got sort of two different worldviews happening simultaneously across Australian organizations. You've got the social media, not urgent, I've got a crowded to-do list, one day I'll get around to it. And then you've got other organizations that have the opposite perspective, that are saying, yes, we need to do this right now. This is something that is incredibly important, and this is where our customers are. And if you're thinking about, well, are our customers really there? One thing that's interesting is to look at where people actually are going on the internet. This is statistics of the audience numbers of automotive websites. The only one in June 2009 that was a manufacturer's site was Ford. All the other sites were non-manufacturer sites. So the traffic is increasingly not going to the manufacturer site. So you've got to figure out how to tell your story in new places. And you might be saying, well, this is maybe a new thing, so I need to sort of figure it out now. But I didn't really need to in the past. But it's interesting, if you look 2 years back, it wasn't that much different 2 years back. The numbers are very similar, and the sites are very similar. So I think it's important to keep in mind that this is less new than what the kind of buzz that's going around might indicate. And eBay is probably the best example of the world's most fabulously successful social media site. If you wanted to find tribes, there's probably no more successful tribal site than internet, because what you collect is antique toothbrushes. eBay has fulfilled your wildest antique toothbrush collecting dreams. But you might be saying, well, these are US statistics. What about Australia? And what's interesting is that Australia is actually ahead of the US. Forrester, which does a lot of research on social media, looked at the social technographics of Australians, as they call it, which is how Australians are participating with social networks. And Australians are more involved on average than people in other countries, and including the US. And there are also large numbers of them. I mean, if you look at the online audience, collectively about 75% of all Australians online are participating in social media to some degree. And about 3 million of them consider themselves to be active creators of social media. Now, as the content expert, that means I've got some serious competition out there. I've got 3 million new competitors in this internet content world. And the idea is that they're not competitors. These are people that we have to work with to build brands. But there's some really good news here, and that's that your organization is already doing this. You're just not doing it online. I think it's very important to keep in mind that the internet doesn't change people. It's just a new channel to start doing the same stuff you've always done. So clearly, you're already talking to your customers directly. You let people answer the phone and talk to customers, so it's not a big policy issue there. You're going out and you're asking for and responding to customer feedback already, so that's really not something new within most organizations. And clearly, you're gathering where your customers are to tell stories about your products and your brands, and to build relationships with your customers. And you're probably spending a lot of money doing it in a way that may not be the most effective way to do it. You may be speaking to many fewer people in some of the channels that you're using than you might be if you were moving some of those dollars online.